The day begins 4.8 million years ago, when the sun climbs over an Earth both alien and strangely familiar. Golden light spills across a landscape dotted with broad rivers, lush valleys, and endless grasslands broken by clusters of trees. The air carries the thick smell of moisture and dust, for this is an age when climate still pulses between warmth and aridity, reshaping the habitats where life fights for each passing dawn. From our vantage point, the horizon is alive with motion, shadows slipping through tall reeds, wings slicing the air, and unseen creatures stirring beneath the soil. We are in the late Miocene, on the cusp of the Pliocene. It is here that ecosystems have already matured into complex networks, yet nothing is permanent. Herds of antelope-like ungulates graze cautiously in the distance, their ears flicking at every rustle. Crocodiles lurk in the shallows, relics of an older world. Above them, storks and vultures wheel in patient arcs, watching, waiting. Scholars have uncovered evidence from sites in Kenya's Turkana Basin that reveal what these habitats once looked like, capturing fossilized reeds, pollen, and bones that fix this moment in time with remarkable clarity. But beyond the tangible evidence lies the speculative. Some fringe researchers argue that forests here may have been dotted with enormous birds, akin to the mysterious terror birds that once dominated South America. While no such giants are definitively found in Africa of this era, the suggestion fuels imagination. Scholars still debate whether climate shifts allowed similar predators to migrate across continents, or if these landscapes were dominated solely by mammalian hunters. In the dawn stillness, every movement is a gamble. A gazelle-like animal lowers its head to drink, only to stiffen as ripples spread outward. Was it the wind, or something waiting beneath? Life at this time is a tapestry woven of vigilance, chance, and adaptation. Plants themselves have strategies. Acacias defend with thorns, while grasses expand root networks to withstand both grazing and drought. Insects hum unseen, orchestrating pollination and decay, maintaining cycles that larger animals rarely perceive. This is a world before cities, before fire, before the spark of written memory. Yet it is not a void. It is a living stage where rules of survival already play out with ruthless consistency. The first rays of sun illuminate this prehistoric morning, and with it begins a single day, just one day among millions, that decides who will live to see the next. As the sun climbs higher, the plains come fully into view, and with them the giants of this world. Herds of towering proboscideans, distant relatives of elephants, move deliberately across the grasslands, their tusks sweeping like scythes. Among them is the formidable Ananchus, a mastodon with 4-meter tusks that curve forward like polished spears. These creatures are living fortresses, reshaping the land with every step, stripping trees of leaves, knocking down branches, and carving trails that smaller animals follow for shelter. Their presence is both protection and peril. Predators linger at the edges, waiting for calves to stray too far. Nearby, another titan rules the grasslands, the massive giraffid Civatherium. Standing nearly 3 meters at the shoulder, it is bulkier than today's giraffes with short, thick necks and strange, horn-like ossicones. Fossils discovered in the Siwalik Hills of India confirm these creatures were widespread across Africa and Asia, filling ecological roles we would struggle to imagine today. Their heavy frames allowed them to browse shrubs and low trees, but their bulk also made them targets for ambitious hunters. Even among the titans, smaller beasts find ways to survive. Gazelle-like antelopes scatter in darting groups, while boars root noisily along the margins. The harmony is deceptive, for every step carries the risk of collapse. A misstep near a waterhole may mean entrapment in soft mud, a death sentence if scavengers circle. Scholars still debate whether herds of such colossal mammals roamed in coordinated migrations, or if they simply drifted with the seasons in smaller family bands. The fossil record leaves traces but rarely reveals behavior, and in this age of giants there are whispers of oddities. Fringe paleontological notes describe dwarf elephants that may have existed in isolated regions, miniature versions of their massive kin, perhaps the result of environmental pressures or early examples of island dwarfism. Such finds, though rare, remind us that evolution works in unexpected, often contradictory ways. The plains resonate with sound, the low bellow of mastodons, the grinding of teeth as Civatherium strips branches, the distant cries of predators marking their presence. This is not a silent wilderness. It is a roaring theater of survival. And while the great beasts dominate the eye, it is the balance of size and speed, strength and caution that ensures each day continues. Beneath the weight of titans, the fragile grasses bend, recover, and wait for another step. Beneath the heavy tread of titans and the dramatic chases of predators lies a quieter realm, one that shapes the survival of every creature alive. The architects of this hidden world are small, plants, insects, and microorganisms whose work ensures that the great beasts of the plains have food to graze and water to drink. Without their constant labor, the mighty stage of prehistory would collapse in silence. Across the plains, grasses dominate, evolving strategies to withstand grazing pressure from herds. They grow from the base rather than the tips, ensuring that when teeth shear away their blades, new shoots emerge quickly. Fossilized pollen grains from the Pliocene sediments of the Awash Valley in Ethiopia confirm the expansion of these grasslands, revealing how the world tilted away from forests toward open savannas. This seemingly small shift had monumental consequences, forcing animals to adapt to open spaces where vigilance meant survival. At ground level, insects buzz with unseen purpose. Termite mounds rise like cathedrals from the soil, built grain by grain into towering structures that regulate temperature and moisture. These mounds, still visible in fossilized form, tell us that ancient termites were already engineering ecosystems millions of years ago. Their tunnels recycled nutrients, aerated soil, and supported entire microcommunities. Scholars still debate whether such insect societies influenced the movement patterns of large herbivores, who may have relied on the richer soils around mounds for grazing. Among the plants, there are defenses as ingenious as any spear or claw. Acacias produce bitter chemicals in their leaves to deter browsing, while some release scents that warn neighboring trees of an approaching grazer. Fringe researchers even speculate that such plant communication could have roots deep in prehistory, hinting at a level of cooperation invisible to us yet fundamental to survival. The delicate balance extends further still. Beetles bury dung, recycling the waste of titans into fertile soil. Tiny fungi break down decaying wood, returning nutrients to the earth. And in the rivers and wetlands, algae bloom in cycles, feeding insects that in turn support fish and birds. Each thread in this web is small, but together they create the fabric upon which mammoths, mastodons, and primates depended. To watch the Miocene through only its giants is to miss its true architects. Survival here is less about tooth and tusk, and more about unseen armies ensuring the cycles of growth, decay, and renewal never pause. The day moves forward, but it is these hidden workers who guarantee that tomorrow will come. As the heat of midday presses down on the plains, the landscape becomes a theater of shadows and silence. Here, predators wait, not always in motion, but always in readiness. Every herd that grazes, every calf that lags, every lone wanderer is a potential story of pursuit and death. Tooth and claw dictate much of life's rhythm in this world. Among the most formidable hunters is the saber-toothed cat, Machairodus. Its elongated canines, curved like ivory blades, gleam as it prowls the margins of riverbeds. Fossils from sites in Pikermi, Greece, and East Africa show that Machairodus was widely distributed during this time, an apex predator that specialized in ambush. Scholars still debate whether these cats hunted in coordinated groups like lions today, or if they were solitary assassins striking from cover. Either way, their very form suggests a weapon perfected for quick, decisive kills. But cats are not the only hunters. Packs of hyena-like canids, ancestors of modern wolves and jackals, prowl the edges of the grassland. They are less glamorous than the saber-tooth but more enduring, relying on stamina and teamwork rather than a single killing blow. Fringe accounts even suggest that some of these proto-hyenas may have been bone crushers, using jaws strong enough to splinter even mastodon bones, reshaping what scavenging meant in these ecosystems. Crocodiles, ancient beyond comprehension, wait in silence at watering holes. For them, time is irrelevant. Patience is their weapon. A single explosive strike, fueled by muscles coiled like springs, can bring down an unsuspecting gazelle or even a juvenile elephant. Above, raptors circle in broad arcs waiting for the inevitable leftovers, yet predators themselves face peril. A failed hunt means hunger, exhaustion, or injury. An infected bite, a broken tooth, or even an unlucky kick from a hoof can end their reign as swiftly as any rival. In the fossil record, Scholars have found skeletons of saber-toothed cats with healed injuries, suggesting some survived long after wounds that should have been fatal. Were they scavengers in their twilight, or did they receive help from kin? Scholars still debate whether cooperation stretched further than instinct in these ancient hunters. The tension of predator and prey is the pulse of the day. When a herd bolts at the crack of a twig, the grassland becomes a storm of hooves and dust, fear spreading like fire. Some escape, some fall, and the balance of survival is reset once more. By afternoon, the plains are littered with signs of pursuit, paw prints in mud, blood-darkened grass, and the heavy silence after chaos. As the afternoon stretches on, the oppressive sun begins to soften, and with it comes a reminder that survival is not dictated solely by predator and prey. It is the climate itself, slow, relentless, and impartial, that truly governs life here. 4.8 million years ago, Earth is in the midst of profound change. The Miocene has given way to the Pliocene, and the planet's long climate pendulum swings between warmth and cooling, opening grasslands where forests once reigned. Sediment cores from the North Atlantic reveal telltale patterns, tiny shells of plankton locked in layers of rock record shifts, in ocean currents that altered rainfall across continents. In East Africa, deposits from the Turkana Basin suggest fluctuating lake levels, a sign that wet periods alternated with long droughts. Scholars still debate whether these environmental shifts directly pressured primates and other mammals into new behaviors, migration, tool use, even cooperation, or whether such changes simply thinned the ranks of those unable to adapt. The plains, though seemingly eternal, are fragile. A season of drought shrinks rivers into cracked channels, forcing animals into dangerous congregations at the few remaining waterholes. When the rains return, they arrive with violent abundance, reshaping valleys and drowning grasslands. For large creatures like Ananchus or Civatherium, survival means endless walking, migrating in search of water, green shoots, and safety. Fossilized trackways in Latoli, Tanzania, whisper of such journeys, entire families pressed into motion by the slow hand of climate. But change does not only punish, it creates opportunity. Fringe theories suggest that some isolated populations may have been shaped by these climate oscillations into entirely new forms, much like how island species evolve rapidly when cut off. Could small pockets of elephants or antelope have become precursors to lineages now lost? The evidence is tantalizing but incomplete, leaving scholars to argue over footprints, bones, and pollen. The fragility of balance is clearest when viewed through extinction. Species finely tuned to a narrow climate window disappear as conditions drift. Insects vanish when flowers fail to bloom. Grazers collapse when grasslands shrink. Predators starve when herds no longer pass their territory. Yet in each loss, another form rises. This is the paradox of deep time. Devastation for one species becomes a door for another. As the day wanes, the plains appear timeless in their golden calm, but beneath the quiet lies the memory of countless vanished ages. Every gust of wind carries the dust of lives that could not adjust, while every surviving herd is proof that endurance is written not in strength, but in adaptability. As twilight cools the plains, the silhouettes of smaller figures move among the shadows. Here, in the branches of acacia trees and along the forest edges, dwell creatures that hint at our own story. Early primates and hominins navigating a world still ruled by beasts. This is the time of Australopithecus anamensis, among the earliest known members of our lineage, whose fossils were discovered at Kanapoi and Alia Bay in Kenya. Dating to just about this period, they offer us glimpses of beings who balanced between the arboreal and the terrestrial, between the instincts of apes and the first steps toward humanity. By day, they forage for fruits, seeds, and tubers, using nimble fingers to strip bark or crack nuts. By night, they climb for safety, nesting high in branches to avoid prowling cats and hyenas. Scholars still debate whether these early hominins walked upright full-time, or whether their gait was a compromise, part climber, part walker, an evolutionary experiment not yet resolved. Their world demanded flexibility, and it was this very adaptability that became their advantage. Alongside them live other primates, colobus-like monkeys leaping through canopies, and baboon ancestors foraging on open ground. Each carries strategies that echo into modern species, rehearsals for behaviors we still see today. Insects, fruits, and scavenged scraps become their diets, a patchwork of survival that required intelligence, memory, and social bonds. Fossilized jaw fragments and worn teeth show signs of diverse diets, a clue that these creatures were experimenting with what it meant to live in shifting environments. Fringe hypotheses have suggested that our distant kin might already have used rudimentary tools, sticks for digging, stones for cracking open marrow. No definitive evidence ties tools to this exact time, but the possibility lingers. After all, chimpanzees today use such methods, and it is not far-fetched to imagine their ancestors doing the same. Scholars still debate whether these behaviors were widespread or simply chance innovations lost in time. As dusk deepens, their calls echo faintly across the savanna, a reminder that survival is not only about strength or speed, but also about connection. Group living offered protection, shared knowledge, and the seeds of culture. Around these figures, the day draws to a close. The giants of the plains settle, predators retreat to lairs, and insects hum their nocturnal chorus. Yet in the fragile silhouettes of these early primates lies the most enduring legacy of all, the faint, flickering outline of humanity's long and improbable rise. Conclusion: in this single imagined day 4.8 million years ago, we witness an Earth both familiar and strange. Giants thunder across plains, insects quietly maintain the soil, predators test the limits of survival, and climates shift with slow inevitability. Yet amid this teeming web of life, it is the small, adaptable primates, our distant kin, that leave the deepest impression. Their tentative steps, their shared foraging, their cautious watchfulness at dusk, all are threads that would one day be woven into the fabric of human existence. The story of this world is not one of dominance, but of balance. Every creature, from termite to mastodon, from saber-toothed cat to early hominin, plays a role in the fragile cycles of life. To imagine their day is to glimpse the foundation of our own. In their struggles, we see the echoes of our survival, and in their resilience, the beginnings of what we would become.